Have you ever sat down for dinner in a restaurant and, despite the wide range of delicious options on the menu, found it impossible to choose one and instead ended up ordering the same thing you might always order? Or perhaps you've considered changing mobile phone plans but found the range of potential alternatives so overwhelming that you simply gave up and choose to stay with your current provider, even if you were sure it is more expensive than other options. If you can relate to any of these examples, you might have been the victim of what the American psychologist Barry Schwartz labeled the paradox of choice. While an abundance of choice might superficially seem like an inherently good thing, the problem is, as Carl and Flora warn, people faced with too many options are likely to throw their hands up and not bother, even when a lot is at stake. In other words, an excess of options and choices might lead to paralysis and indecision. Paralysis by analysis, if you will. Yet, more than just relating to how we make day-to-day decisions, such as what to order for dinner or which mobile phone plan to choose, the paradox of choice also highlights a key reason why the absence of constraints or limits can actually block creative thinking and the emergence of new and innovative solutions. Having too many choices may sound like a luxury, but being spoiled for choice can make it harder to choose. Iyengar and Lepper's seminal research into consumer behavior found that although having more choices might appear desirable, it may sometimes have detrimental consequences for human motivation. So, how then does an excess of choices impact on decision making and, consequently, creativity and innovation? To find out, let's consider a real-life example of how the paradox of choice can work. To do this, we set up a small experiment which involved asking volunteer participants to choose a snack that they might like from, first, a small selection, and second, a much larger selection. So what did we find?
I'm gonna go for a Smartie.
Okay, very good. And why did you choose the Smarties?
I just fancy eating a Smartie.
Okay.
I think.
I might choose that though. Can I change?
You can change?
I want that one.
Okay.
Not that satisfied. I probably would have nothing, to be honest.
Perhaps not surprisingly, when people were asked to choose from the small selection, they were able to make a choice much more rapidly than when they were asked to select from the larger selection. With the smaller selection, participants in our experiment took on average 5.7 seconds to make a choice, compared to 14.5 seconds on average for the larger selection. Interestingly, however, while the theory of the paradox of choice might suggest a larger range of options might also lead to lower levels of satisfaction with the final decision, this is not quite what we found. In fact, the majority of participants in our experiment actually reported slightly higher levels of satisfaction with their choice from the larger selection of snacks. When asked why, they typically responded that the larger selection allowed them to make a more specific and personalised choice.
It's a lot of choice. Maybe about a 6 or, yeah, probably about a 6, so not overly satisfied.
Okay.
It's too much choice.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh my god, so many! Oh, there's so many. Oh. Oh, pickled onion monster munch.
Okay, pickled onion monster munch. Returning to the underlying theory, Chernoff, Birkenholt and Goodman identified 4 factors which are most important for predicting how an excess of choice might impact on decision making. Specifically, these factors were as follows: the difficulty of the task and the number of constraints, the complexity of the choices available, decision-maker uncertainty about benefits of the various options, and the overall aims of the decision-making process. The thing is, neither boundless freedom nor boundless choice are conducive to effective decision-making, or, critically, creativity and innovation. But they can, in fact, have the opposite effect. As we have found in our small experiment, An excess of choices can make decision-making more complex and time-consuming. So, in order for worthwhile innovation to thrive, we might need to consciously look at limiting the choices available to us. Doing this can help frame our thinking in more effective ways, improve the quality of our decisions, and ensure that we avoid the paradox of choice.
Get more from the Open University. Check out the links on screen now.